Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 130, which is called Genin Assemble. And yeah, another really fun episode here. It's just so interesting to see Boruto sort of interact with the younger versions of the characters he knows as adults. So we get to see him interact with like Hinata for a little bit, Shino, Konohamaru. And then, of course, he actually has a fun sort of hangout session with the guys as they're cleaning up the bathroom, basically, area. And, you know, most of the episode was just pretty much focused on that big sequence in the bathroom and then just kind of having fun, kind of lots of talking back and forth, Boruto getting a chance to sort of see everyone's personalities, just get his reaction to sort of seeing everyone come in and see that, you know, in the same way that he has these sort of interactions with his friends, Naruto had those same type of interactions with his friends in the past. So, that was cool. You get little things like him getting to see, of course, meet Neji for the first time. They don't focus on it too much, but, you know, it's a nice little moment. With Hinata, I like that he got to see a little bit of, you know, his mom being really awkward around Naruto. But then the fun moment of Hinata, who's usually very shy around people, is actually kind of willing to talk to Boruto sort of straight away, and it's like, you look like Naruto, and it was just this kind of fun moment of like, she tells Sakura, like, for some reason I just didn't feel nervous around him. So a lot of cool moments like that. With Shino, it's just the idea of like, he's like, oh, like, you're just a traveling performer, but you've clearly had taijutsu training. There's some slight inconsistencies in your motions, like, did your teacher not tell you about them? He's like, no, but you're my teacher. So you know, it's an episode that sort of did all the right things here in terms of you know, we of course want to see where the plot goes, but we want to also spend time with the characters here. So devoting most of this episode to just Boruto interacting with everyone was perfectly fine. The, you know, sexy jutsu kind of competition that they all have with Konohamaru, and he gets to see sort of how goofy Konohamaru was in the past. You see Naruto actually says, I want to become Hokage, and, you know, he sees the devotion to that. He gets to see Naruto use shadow clones and immediately make more than him and showcase that this is how good Naruto is at shadow clones. So a lot of cool moments like that. He again gets to see sort of how aggressive Sakura is when she gets annoyed with Naruto. He gets to see Shikamaru and he realizes that, like, oh, this is the most heavy family resemblance of anyone in this era, is that Shikadai looks identical to Shikamaru. So that was sort of an interesting one. But in the end, like, most of the episode was just kind of messing around in the bathroom, like making lots of suds and them going overboard. It's all in character in that, like, Naruto and Kiba are the ones who primarily kind of go wild initially, then Rock Lee sort of gets into it, Choji sort of kind of clumsily makes even more of a mistake, and it's just kind of chaos in the kind of cleaning detail. Other than that, the rest of the episode was just sort of, you know, like I said, like, Boruto getting to meet the other characters sort of outside, and him sort of just following Naruto around, getting to learn a little bit more about the village at this point in time. Probably the most notable thing in terms of, like, we're dealing with time travel, of course, here, was that, like, Boruto mentions, like, the Thunder Train, and that, like, oh, it's this big thing that can carry stuff around the village. It's you know, it had tracks all around the village. And Naruto's just kind of like, what are you talking about? But then we actually get the reveal of Denki's father overhears this and, like, oh, that's an interesting idea to, you know, technology. So the impression I get based off the preview for next episode is that they're probably going for enough stuff that we are probably likely going to have most of the characters from this day forget about the events that happened. So likely only Boruto and Sasuke will remember the events of this episode, and they'll find some way to sort of wipe the memories of, like, Naruto, Jiraiya, everyone who is aware of what's happening here. I just don't see any way to avoid that, given that we are getting straight into the Urashiki fight seemingly next episode, and Sasuke is going to have to be heavily involved. Boruto's going to have to be involved. There's no way to sort of, I think, talk their way out of that. So I think the only effect on the timeline that they're probably going to do here is that Denki's father, instead of maybe at some random point after this forming an interest in technology, it's going to be now canon that his interest in technology came from the past, and Boruto mentioning it, and that's where he latched onto it. So only a very minor change. It won't actually lead to any sort of like butterfly effect type stuff, but just an interesting little thing at the very least. I assume they'll maybe do a few other little stuff like that, where like it'll be just kind of canon going forward that actually the time travel did take place, and this is why this actually happened. But I think it'll just be a lot of little things like they did here. But yeah, the episode does end with Sasuke coming back, and Urashiki's here. So that was sort of surprising. I kind of expected them to maybe do like 3-4 episodes of just like fun with the characters, but they also don't want to just have a bunch of episodes like this of just like the characters messing around, and like they can't do too much. So I did appreciate that. And then they continue to sort of set up that it is going to be a fairly big thing here. Whenever Boruto eventually finds out the full details about Sasuke. Now, he does figure it all out here that, Sasuke has deserted the village at this point, and Sasuke in present day confirms that, like, yeah, I did, but we don't need to talk about the past right now. And I think that's where they're building to with this. I think that's why they teamed Boruto and Sasuke up here, was to eventually have a sort of moment where they become sort of closer as like master and apprentice. And I think that's going to come from Sasuke confirming to Boruto, like, this is why it happened. And again, what exact character dynamic are they going to go for with all of that? I'm not entirely sure, but it is interesting that Boruto now knows and is sort of frustrated with the idea that, why won't you talk about it, Sasuke? So there's some doubts kind of beginning to creep in here as he sort of figures everything out. And what's interesting here is that, like, he's always thought of like Sasuke as sort of the hero figure in his life, looked up to him, and not thought particularly well of his father. But through this kind of flashback arc, we're seeing that he actually is gaining a lot of respect for Naruto in terms of seeing what he was like. And it's maybe Sasuke and his unwillingness to talk about things that is kind of becoming a problem here. So I do wonder where exactly they're going to go over the arc with that, and if there's going to be time to do the proper character development or not. We'll have to wait and see. Other than that, the episode did start with a pretty interesting scene. Again, Boruto is staying with Naruto, so of course when they wake up, breakfast is more ramen, and Naruto only has like 1 or 2 flavors. So Boruto wants different flavors, so he uses the ingredients that Naruto has to just make this crazy, super spicy ramen by just putting it in like a plain one. And Naruto ends up actually liking it. Like, it's super spicy. It's not exactly what he'd usually go for, but he actually likes the taste. So just kind of showing those kind of fun little connections there. I think it's just very, very enjoyable. These are the type of episodes that we want more of. That, like, even when we get out of this, going to the past arc, if you need to do more fillery type episodes to allow the manga to continue so you have more content, you can go for these very character-driven episodes if you have enough to do with them. Like, it's not enough to just be like, okay, Choji's in this episode, we'll just do anything with Choji. You can make an interesting Choji episode if you commit to doing something interesting that relates to his character, that has good interaction with the present-day characters and stuff like that. And then with the amount of novels that they still have to, like, adapt, like, I think there's so many options to sort of fill in like the past of certain characters and so on, and that I think everyone kind of wants to know, like, how did like Choji and like Karui kind of come together as a couple, like moments like that. And then of course there's still the option of like the Kakashi novel that they have to adapt at some point. I really want to see that. The Sakura one especially I want to see, and so on. But yeah, I'm enjoying this arc. I do wonder how many episodes it's going to be, but it seems like we're getting straight in next time out. Lots of action. Urashiki's here. We'll see how they go with it. But yeah, that's been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this one. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.